Have you ever noticed that sometimes the more you chase after something, the more it seems to slip away? The more you try to control, the more frustrated you get. The more afraid you are of losing it, the more that fear takes up space inside your head. And without realizing it, you stop living the journey because you start living only the worry about the outcome. In the end, the exhaustion doesn't come only from what you're trying to achieve. It comes from the constant tension of feeling that everything needs to happen right away, in the right way, in the time frame you imagined. But today, I want to invite you to look at this in a different way. It's not about giving up on your goals. It's not about stopping. It's about not turning your desires into a burden. It's learning to keep walking without being emotionally tied to what hasn't happened yet. Think about what you've been chasing so hard lately. Maybe a career change, a more genuine relationship, a financial breakthrough, an opportunity that seems like it'll never come. Now ask yourself honestly, why do I want this so badly? What do I believe is going to change when this happens? And most importantly, what's stopping me from receiving this right now? Maybe the problem was never what you want, but the pressure you put on top of it. This is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Because when you let go, everything starts to arrive, not by luck or magic, but because life starts to flow better when you stop blocking the road with so much anxiety. So write in the comments below, in a voice of decision, today, everything starts to work out. It might sound simple, but this might be your first step. Stop controlling and finally allow things to come. Lesson 1. The mistake of wanting something too much. The more you try to force peace, the more chaos you create. The more you try to control everything, the more out of control you feel. This is the paradox of pursuit. Too much effort becomes the very obstacle. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want. Wish for them to happen as they should, and you will find peace." But most of us do the opposite. We insist on pushing life with brute strength. We try to speed up time. We demand immediate answers. We demand guarantees. And when the world does not respond the way we expect, we sink into frustration. But the peace you are looking for is not found in force. It is found in surrender. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a lake that reflects the image of the moon. If you plunge your hands in trying to grab the reflection, you will only stir up the water and lose the view. But if you stop, breathe, let go of the water, calm yourself, the image returns on its own, clear and serene. Life works the same way. What you try to control with anxiety slips away. What you welcome with confidence flows. Letting go is not giving up. It is shifting your point of support, stepping out of fear and leaning on clarity. When you release the obsession with control, something inside you rearranges itself. Anxiety weakens, tension fades, and what once seemed out of reach begins to draw closer, naturally. This is not magic. It is a shift in posture. It is wisdom in action. Stoicism does not tell you to abandon your dreams or give up on your goals, but it invites you to release the blind craving for control and accept reality as it is, not as you wish it were. Because it is in that acceptance that your true strength begins. Acting out of fear makes you react with desperation. Acting out of trust makes you decide with steadiness, and that is what transforms your results. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." That sentence is a code of wisdom, because whoever lives at peace with the now will never be a slave to what has not yet happened. So calm yourself. Stop chasing happiness as if it were hidden somewhere outside of you. It is born the moment you stop fighting against what is happening right now. You do not need to beg for love, or prove your worth, or carry guilt. Stoic acceptance is not passivity, it is clarity. Focus on what truly matters. It is the courage to trust life without clinging to the illusion that you need to control everything. And when you understand this, something shifts. A new strength is born, one that is not noise or agitation. It is balance and direction. If you are listening to these words right now, perhaps this is the exact moment to take that step. Comment below, "I choose to trust." And this is not just a sentence, it is a new posture you take on. And as Andy Warhol said, as soon as you stop wanting something, you get it. Lesson 2. What is yours only arrives when you are at peace with yourself. One of the greatest illusions is believing that you have to chase after everything all the time just to prove that you are enough. But the truth is that what is truly yours does not come when you beg, chase, or wear yourself out. It comes when you find peace within yourself. It comes when you are whole. Whole in your values, whole in your presence, whole in the way you treat yourself. Because life has a quiet way of working. It does not surrender to those who run. It surrenders to those who find their way back to themselves. And that homecoming begins the moment you stop demanding so much of yourself and start taking care of yourself. Seneca once said, "Nothing is enough for the one to whom enough is too little." Not because you do not deserve it, but because you have not yet recognized yourself. You cannot expect life to offer you stability if, on the inside, you are still living in pieces. You cannot expect a balanced relationship if you live erasing yourself just to please everyone around you. You cannot expect abundance if you keep acting like someone who quietly sabotages themselves. Your outer life is always an answer, never an origin. It gives back in the form of circumstances what you cultivate in the form of your relationship with yourself. It is when you become whole that life finds something to lean on. It is when you stop begging for attention and start nurturing self-love. It is when you stop crying out for recognition and learn to respect yourself even in silence. And it is in that silence, in that very silence, that life begins to speak to you, because only those who have grown still can truly hear what existence has been saying all along. And when you live this way, whole, even with scars, even still in progress, life notices. It recognizes you along the way and hands you what was already yours, not out of luck, not out of pity, but out of consistency. Because scars do not make you any less ready, they prove that you made it through. And everything that is genuinely yours carries your name written in silence, simply waiting for the moment when you are ready to recognize it too. Lesson 3. Lack attracts more lack. There is a kind of energy that goes unnoticed, but that defines what you attract, the energy of lack. When your mind only sees what is missing, the love that has not arrived, the money that has not come, the recognition that has not shown up, it enters a state of chronic neediness. And the problem is not wanting. It is living from absence. It is waking up every single day with the feeling that something essential is missing and letting that shape your mood, your posture, your choices. Epictetus once said, "Men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." And the most dangerous view you can hold is, "I will only be happy when..." That belief creates an invisible cycle. The more you think about what is missing, the more you reinforce that scarcity as your identity. It is like an old fable. Two creatures cross the same path. The first, a fly, lands only where there is filth. It sees trash in every corner, noise in every gesture, flaws in every person. When asked what it found along the way, it answers with contempt. Nothing of value, just rot. In the second, a bee travels the same path but lands where there are flowers. It sees color, fragrance, life, and when asked what it found, it smiles and says, "The most beautiful flowers of the season." The difference? The world was the same, but the gaze was different. That is how your mind works. What you focus on expands. If you look only at what is absent, you reinforce the idea that nothing is ever enough. But if you train your eyes to see what exists, what you can create, what is still blooming, reality begins to shift. A mind focused on scarcity does not notice opportunities. It only confirms its own shortcomings. But when you shift your focus from what is missing to what you can create, from what you do not have to what you can offer, something powerful happens. You move from emotional beggar to builder of your own reality. Letting go of scarcity is an act of courage. Not because it disappears right away, but because you decide to stop feeding it. Abundance begins as an inner state, long before it becomes an outer result. So instead of repeating, "I need this to be happy," swap it for, "I already am everything I need to begin." And watch what changes. Because when you let go of the identity of lack, you start to live like someone who already has, and the world responds to that. Lesson 4. Live as if it were already yours. You don't attract what you desire through anxiety. You attract what you live with coherence, because desire, when it comes from lack, repels what it chases. But desire, when it comes from coherence, magnetizes what already belongs to you in essence. The mind needs proof, and the person who acts as if they're still waiting only reinforces that they don't believe. But when you start walking like someone who already knows where they're going, something shifts. Posture changes first, then the gaze, then the choices, and before you know it, the world around you has started to respond to this new version of you, even before it's completely ready. Changing your frequency isn't magic, it's mindset. You want confidence. Act like someone trustworthy. You want to be respected, carry yourself with dignity. You want to attract good relationships, become a safe space. Because life doesn't deliver what we ask for, it delivers what we are. And being at the end of the day is the highest form of asking. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself who you want to be, then do what you have to do." That's the key. A lot of people wait to feel before they act. But true movement begins in the opposite direction. You act first, and the feeling follows. It's the gesture that teaches the soul, not the other way around. Those who wait for the right emotion to begin rarely begin. Those who begin discover that the right emotion is born along the way. If you want to live abundance, practice gratitude. If you want to live love, practice presence. If you want to live peace, stop sabotaging yourself with old stories. Because what we practice on the outside over time settles on the inside, and what settles on the inside, sooner or later, overflows in the form of life. You don't need to wait for the world to change. You need to change the energy you show up with, because when you let go of the role of someone who begs and you take on the role of someone who builds, everything around you starts to respond differently. Not by chance, but because you finally started to vibrate at the frequency of what you desire. And this frequency is a silent language, an ancient one, that life has always known how to hear. It doesn't respond to the words we say, it responds to the posture with which we live. If this message touched something in you, write in the comments, "Today, I act as if it's already real." And more than writing it, start living with this posture. A written sentence is a wish, but a lived sentence is a decision. And decisions, when sustained over time, stop being intention and become destiny. Your new reality begins the moment you act like someone who already recognizes it as possible. Lesson 5. Where there is trust, everything flourishes. Trusting is not crossing your arms. It is having the courage to act even with your heart racing. It is walking in the dark with steadiness, even without seeing the whole path. True trust is not passivity nor naivety. It is a silent choice, an inner strength that whispers, "I still don't know how it's going to be, but I know I can get through this." Epictetus said, It is not events that disturb us, but the way we interpret them. And it is precisely here that trust reveals itself. It begins when you change the way you face what is outside of your control. When you let go of the need to control everything, what remains? You, your attitude, your presence, your ability to face the present moment with steadiness. Stoic trust is not blind faith nor shallow optimism. It is built in practice. It is born from every moment in which you look back and realize what seemed like the end was only a new beginning. What broke you, shaped you. What slipped out of your control taught you more than what went right. And at this point, the wisdom of Alan Watts fits perfectly. When you try to stay on the surface of the water, you sink. But when you try to sink, you float. That is what trust means. When you stop fighting against the present moment, it begins to hold you up. When you trust, your mind slows down. You no longer waste energy trying to predict the unpredictable. You no longer spend your peace trying to control every person, every detail, every response. You breathe more lightly because you finally understand. Your role is to do your best. The rest is not in your hands. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without arrogance, let go without attachment." That is exactly it. Trusting is releasing what does not belong to you. It is investing your strength where it truly transforms. And you know what happens when you live this way? You stop suffering in advance, you sleep better, you listen more, and you become more present, more whole, more free. You make mistakes with more lightness because you don't demand perfection from yourself. You live with more peace. Not because everything has been resolved, but because you have become strong enough to keep going, even when everything still feels uncertain. So today, do not demand answers. Do not try to guess the future. Just take the next step. With steadiness, awareness, and calm, that is the role of trust, to walk forward even without guarantees. Lesson 6. The path to real calm, present, steady, and done running. Understanding is the first step, but living it is what transforms you. Talking about letting go, trusting, living in the now sounds beautiful and even inspiring. But how do you do that when the bill is due tomorrow, when your heart still aches, or when everything is racing along out there and you feel like you are falling behind? This is where Stoicism stops being theory and becomes muscle. And the first lesson you will practice every single day is this: calm is not born from control, it is born from clarity, and clarity requires presence. Before trying to completely change your world, just stop and observe. Look honestly at what is holding you back, and ask yourself, what am I trying to force? What am I refusing to let go of? Sometimes it is a person who walked away and you want to bring them back at any cost. Sometimes it is an ideal that no longer serves you, but you keep holding on to it out of pride. Sometimes it is a memory that hurts you and you refuse to forgive. Sometimes it is just the fear of starting over. The pain grows when you try to resist what is already happening. But something shifts when you admit, honestly, this is where I am, and even though it is not where I would like to be, this is where I can begin. You want a real example? Picture someone who has just gone through a breakup, the urge to win back their partner, to undo it all, to go back to the way things were, feels uncontrollable. But calm begins when this person has the courage to say, "It is over. And as much as I still miss them, I have to stop trying to save something that no longer exists." This does not mean ignoring the pain. It means realizing that beyond drowning in it, there is another choice. Get up, breathe, take care of yourself, stop chasing what is already gone, and start walking toward what can still be. That is when this person begins rebuilding their own life, one step at a time, redefining their routine, seeking real support, seeing themselves not as someone who was rejected, but as someone rediscovering who they are. That is presence. That is power. Or think about someone who has lost their job. The mind panics, imagines disasters, and starts chasing any solution without ever stopping. But calm begins when this person allows themselves to sit down and say, "Okay, this happened. I cannot change yesterday, but I can update my resume today. I can cut some unnecessary expenses. I can ask a friend for help, and I can reinvent myself." It is in this shift between panic and presence that true power is born. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What lies in front of you is enough. Just act." Just act, not like someone running, but like someone choosing. And every time your mind drifts off into the what-ifs. What if it does not work out? What if it never gets better? Bring it back with a simple, powerful question. What can I do right now with what I have? Sometimes the answer is organize your space, breathe for 2 minutes with no distractions, or write down on a piece of paper everything you are feeling, even if it hurts. These small acts are anchors. They reconnect you with the now, the only place where change begins. And when the chaos feels bigger than you, remember one of the hardest and most freeing truths in Stoicism. It is not the fact that destroys you, it is the judgment you create about it. So, be careful with the words you repeat inside yourself. Do not say, "This is unbearable." Say, "This is what I have to face today." And watch how your whole stance shifts. Because it is not only what you think that affects you, it is the tone you use when you talk to yourself. And many times, suffering grows not because of the real pain, but because you compare yourself, you judge yourself, you push yourself to be faster, stronger, more perfect. That is where the rush, the guilt, and the feeling of falling behind are born. And all of that suffocates your calm. Respect your own pace. Do not compare yourself. Do not try to run a marathon at the pace of someone who is already at mile 19. Understand that different flowers bloom in different seasons. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they become difficult." And to dare sometimes is as simple as keeping going, even if slowly. These practices do not work magic, but they do work miracles. The miracle of you no longer being a slave to the chaos outside and starting to build strength on the inside. And when that happens, you do not have to chase everything with desperation, because what is truly yours begins to feel your steadiness and comes toward you. Lesson 7. Receiving is the strength nobody ever taught you. There is an enormous difference between desiring something and being dominated by that desire. When you desire with balance, you act with wisdom. But when desire turns into obsession, it begins to consume your energy, your attention, and your peace. Everything around you starts revolving around a single idea, and you lose yourself in what you think is missing, forgetting what is already present. Stoicism teaches us to observe our thoughts from a distance with clarity. Epictetus used to say, "Do not let yourself be dragged away by what passes through you. Just watch." And that is the foundation of a receptive mind. A receptive mind is not a passive mind. It is a mind that has learned not to cling to every thought as if it were absolute truth, that does not try to control the uncontrollable, that is willing to live the now with lightness, without the weight of needing to predict the future in order to feel safe. When you are obsessed, you do not see reality, you see anxiety. You see everything through the lens of scarcity, of urgency, of comparison. And the more force you put into it, the more tense you become, the further you feel from peace. But when you breathe, slow down, and allow your mind to simply observe, something shifts. You start to see things as they are, and not as your anxious mind insists they should be. You trade the illusion of control for the clarity of acceptance, and that is liberating. A receptive mind is like an open window. It lets the wind come in, the light pass through, the new unfold. It does not try to control the weather. It does not close its doors to the unexpected. And this does not mean living without goals. It means walking the path with calm, without confusing results with personal worth, without confusing achievement with worthiness, without confusing control with peace. You act with intention, but you accept with wisdom. You put in effort, but you do not wear yourself down, trying to force what does not depend on you alone. The lesson here is to stop obsessing over what we do not have and over what we desperately want, and to allow it to flow into our lives when the right time comes. Because when you stop pushing, the path reveals itself. When you stop chasing, what belongs to you finds its way to you. The Stoic mind, when it is receptive, becomes more attentive to what matters, more sensitive to the present, more open to the signs of life, to the small miracles that only those who slow down are able to notice. And at this point, the wisdom of the master monk Thich Nhat Hanh fits like a lighthouse. He said, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free." That is why releasing control is not weakness. It is maturity. It is opening up space to see further. It is ceasing to live at war with reality and beginning to flow with it. Some of the most important things in your life will not arrive when you demand them. They will arrive when you are ready. And being ready is exactly this, being receptive, staying conscious, being at peace with the now. So breathe, release the rigidity, release the urgency, and above all, release the fear. And comment down below, "My mind flows." That is your commitment to peace. That is the first step toward living with more lightness, more clarity, more freedom. Lesson 8. What locks up inside you every time you try to trust and let go? Everyone talks about letting go, trusting the process, stopping trying to control everything. And in theory, it sounds easy. It even sounds light. But in practice, when the real moment comes of letting go of someone, of no longer insisting on a situation, of accepting that you are no longer in control, something inside you locks up. This resistance is internal, and it almost always shows up disguised as protection, as if insisting on the chaos was safer than facing the emptiness of starting over. But deep down, that is exactly what keeps you stuck. One of the first obstacles we feel is fear. Fear of losing, of failing, of letting go and ending up with nothing. But think honestly, how many times have you held on to something so tightly that you did not notice how much it was suffocating you? It is like grabbing a thorn with all your strength. The more afraid you are of letting go, the more pain you feel. Epictetus said, "No great thing is destroyed by external losses, but by our own opinion about it." You do not need to lose what is valuable, but maybe you need to let go of the idea that something only has value if it is kept at any cost. Letting go sometimes is the only path to save what good still exists, including inside you. Another subtle obstacle is impatience. We live surrounded by hurry, goals, comparisons. We want to see results even before the process has had time to mature. But calm is not the absence of action, it is the presence of awareness. Think about a tree that has just been pruned. It looks empty, ugly, even broken. But it is in the silence of waiting that it prepares new branches. Fruits that are worth it are not born from shouting, they grow in the right time. And that requires faith, not blind faith, but the trust of someone who knows that today's invisible is tomorrow's visible. Another enemy of calm is rigidity, the pain of seeing life not follow the script that you wrote in your mind. But was it really life that let you down, or was it your expectation that grew too big? It is like building a sandcastle and getting angry at the ocean. The mistake was not the tides, it was the illusion of permanence. Too many expectations turn into invisible bars, and often the suffering does not come from what happened, but from the perfect image that you created of how everything should be. Seneca wrote, "If you want everything to happen as you wish, you will be unhappy. But if you accept what life offers, you will find serenity." Flexibility is not weakness, it is emotional intelligence put into practice. Pride also locks you up, that voice that whispers, if you let go, you are giving up. But letting go is wisdom. It is humility. It is recognizing that we are part of nature, not above it. And like everything in nature, we follow cycles, phases, seasons. Every time we try to force something outside of that rhythm, nothing flows. Not because of lack of effort, but because we are not aligned with reality. Think about electricity. You cannot see it, but if you touch where you should not, you feel it on your skin. Life is like that too. Ignoring its laws does not speed anything up, it only delays everything. And when you understand this, you start to act as part of the machinery, not as someone above it. That is when life starts spinning again, without effort, without agony. But behind all of these obstacles, there is a hidden desire. The desire to control other people's feelings, the timing of things, the direction of events. But life is not an engineering project, it is a river. And whoever tries to control the water with their hands ends up exhausted and still loses what was essential. You do not need to let go of everything all at once. Start small. Let go of one demand today, one judgment tomorrow, one conversation that keeps repeating itself and never goes anywhere. It is like taking the extra weight out of a suitcase. You do not need to throw everything away. Just leave behind what is not helping you move forward. And notice, nothing in your life is going to fall apart. On the contrary, something new starts growing inside. Lightness, clarity, freedom. Finally, a common trap, thinking that letting go means not caring. But that is a distortion. When you let go with awareness, you care in a more clear-headed way, not out of neediness, but out of presence, not out of attachment, but out of love. It is the difference between holding someone by the hand and dragging them by the shoulders. One carries, the other suffocates. Letting go is trusting. And trusting is not crossing your arms, it is putting your hands where they really make a difference, in the now, in yourself, in what is within your reach. Lesson 9. How to achieve everything you truly want. Most people live obsessed with the outcome. They want success, they want happiness, they want recognition, but they forget something essential. You have no control over the outcome, only over the process. And that's why so many people get frustrated, burned out, and give up, because they pour all their energy into what they can't control and ignore what truly makes the difference. When you find yourself in this cycle, wanting too much, expecting too much, demanding too much, it's time to stop, time to break the pattern, to come back to yourself, to remember what truly matters. One of the most powerful strategies I've learned came from the author Ryan Munsey. Focus on actions, not on results. This sentence sounds simple, but it deeply shifts the way you look at life. Because the result is a consequence, the action is a choice. You don't control whether you'll get promoted, but you control whether you'll give your best today. You don't control whether you'll be loved, but you control whether you're nurturing healthy relationships. You don't control when things will happen, but you can make sure you'll be ready when they do. Stoicism has always taught this. Don't waste time wishing the world would hand you something. Hand yourself to the world, your best version, with action, with focus, and with presence. The more you cling to the desire to get there, the further away everything seems. The more you devote yourself to the now, to what can be done, the faster the path builds itself. Maybe you won't reach everything when you hope to, but if you keep planting with consistency and clarity, what is yours will bloom, not by chance, but because you acted with purpose. So trust yourself, believe that you deserve to reach where you dream of going. But focus your energy on what you can do now, not on what you don't yet have. Let go of the weight of expectation and replace it with the strength of commitment. The more you think about success, the less it happens. The more you act with intention, the more success quietly draws near. Sometimes, what you're searching for so deeply is right in front of you, just waiting for you to slow down, to open your heart, and to allow yourself to receive without controlling. When you do this, life begins to happen, not because you demand it, but because your peace invites it. And it's precisely at this point that the wisdom of Viktor Frankl fits like an arrow hitting the mark. Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. Happiness must happen, and the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. Then you will live to see that in the long run, success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten to think about it. This is the turning point. Let go, take action, and let it happen. Life doesn't need to be pushed. It blossoms when you stop resisting and start living with presence. The Stoic House awaits you whenever you need to breathe. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a single meeting. Thank you for watching.